We sat here and watched that. Oh, there we go. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Podcast for Life. My name is Daniel Essick. Um, we're here today with Melissa Welch on the phone. She was unable to enter the room. And I realized that we're getting started a little late, but it couldn't be helped. Apparently, there was a glitch in the system where I was not allowed to get into the episode, and I had to reschedule the episode when Get Vocal deleted it to fix the problem. We're here. We're ready to go. We're running a little late, so we're probably going to go on a little late. Try to keep up to time. So instead of going from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we're going to go from before 5 o'clock and probably go to 6. And I'm okay with that, and I hope y'all are. It probably give us a little over an hour, but I think we can handle it. Like I said, my name is Daniel Essick, and this is Podcast for Life. And I have on the phone Melissa Welch. Melissa, are you there?
I certainly am.
Okay, great. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm 52. I'm a woman, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And, I consider myself democratically inclined, but with a more conservative outlook on some things.
Okay, great. And with Melissa being a Democrat, she is going to be advocating for Joe Biden and Amy McGrath. And I, as a Republican, am going to be advocating for President Trump and Mitch McConnell, who is running for re-election as a senator. So, where do we begin? Basically, how I feel about President Trump is I think he's made a fine president. We elected him 4 years ago. He began his administration by growing the economy at almost a record pace and solving a great many issues, a great many of my personal issues. He began construction on building the wall, which is almost complete now. And he has fought amazing battles all throughout and been treated very unfairly by the opposition. But despite that, he has managed to get a lot of jobs done. Coronavirus hit last March. A bunch of things that happened that I don't exactly agree with, but he is president. Those were his decisions to make. And when we began heading towards normalcy, the economy is again growing at a near record pace. Okay, so Melissa, why don't you go ahead and advocate for Mr. Biden?
Okay, Mr. Biden is a proven leader. He is intelligent, well-spoken, and he has something called diplomacy, which is amazing. I think that there is more to being a president than being able to put plans in place and know who to put them off on. We also need someone who can be diplomatic and be there for all the people. Someone who can identify with everyone across the board. Because this country is a melting pot and it's made up of people all across the board. And I think we need someone who speaks at more of a kinder disposition and comes from a place of love instead of hostility. And I think that Mr. Biden would do that. He would lead our country in more of a loving, accepting way than our current president.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Is there anything you'd like to add to that? You do have more time.
I I do think that while Mr. Trump has done some effective things for our economy, I hope that he does not get another 4 years for the simple reason that he lacks the ways of getting along with the other people in other countries. He has no sense of diplomacy. He doesn't seem to understand, basic rules of engagement. As far as how to play nicely with others. And even in a country like ours, in America, where our country is very large, we still need to have friends and play nicely with others. Okay. And I just don't think that man is at the point where he can do that. He's so used to perhaps giving orders, but not really accepting any, that maybe that's not the best person for our country. Okay, we really need someone with more care.
Okay, can I stop you there for a minute, because that's getting into our next section. What I want to do is, the next thing I'd like to do is advocate for the senators. So basically, Mitch McConnell has served Kentucky for quite a long time. He has done a fairly good job over the years. However, there's been some years that he's kind of fallen out of favor with me. And during those years, I've communicated with him or tried to communicate with him. And sometimes I get an answer, sometimes I didn't. But the thing is it just kept going down a path to where I was growing more and more dissatisfied. In 2008, I challenged Mr. McConnell for his seat in the Senate in the primary and got 14% of the vote. Ever since then, Mr. McConnell has listened to my arguments, and I've sent him emails where he email, and then I would see him on C-SPAN and be hearing him put my argument forward. And that gave me a lot of personal satisfaction. As far as his representation of the issues, I've grown a lot more in agreement with Mr. McConnell. And again, he's been doing a wonderful job for Kentucky. Melissa, go ahead.
While Mr. McConnell has been in power for a great many years, I feel like he may have started out with Kentucky's best interest, but somewhere along the line got lost and became his best interest. Okay, Melissa. And he got comfortable in his place.
Okay, Melissa, you're advocating for Amy McGrath.
I definitely am. We need someone who is going to be new blood, who's going to shake things up in Washington, and who's going to be willing to take on the hard issues, not somebody who's too comfortable and doesn't have any fight left in them. It's not the size of the dog. It's the size of the fight in the dog. And we really need somebody that's going to fight for us. And I feel like Amy McGrath would do that. First of all, she served this country loyally. She is a veteran. So that right there shows you that she knows what leadership is, because she's been a leader. She is a woman who has a family. Therefore, she understands about the perils of raising children in the world we live in today. She wants to have Kentucky be somewhere where people's kids are going to want to stay. They're not going to want to have to leave Kentucky in order to have a good life or to find a job. Mitch McConnell has been in power too long, and I really believe there needs to be a term that after so long a point you're no longer allowed to run, because he is a prime example of someone who has been in power way too long. And some of the things that they're saying are just ridiculous on their campaign slogans and things like that. I'm not a big fan of campaign slogans because I think they're mostly mudslinging. However, the thing that really bothers me is when I hear about the non-term abortion. That's not even a thing. People don't even do that. There is nowhere in any of the 50 states that is even done. And that is just ridiculous. What she said is she believes the government doesn't have a right to choose and make a decision about a woman's body. And you know what? That's the truth, because if it was making a decision about how many men and how old you are when you get a vasectomy, I guarantee you there would be World War III.
Okay. Alrighty.
Amy McGrath has a responsibility, and I think and do it well.
Okay. All right, Melissa. I believe you got done a little early on that one as well. I'm kind of happy for that, because the thing is, it's given us more time than banning out some of the issues.
Sorry about that, but
no.
ad really irritates me because I know it's a bunch of hooey.
Yeah.
First of all, and second of all,
which ad is that?
It is just that's what you do when you have nothing to say that means anything. You sling mud. Because if you want to say something, point out the real true facts. And in that bullcrap, there is no true facts. So, in my opinion, it belittled Mitch McConnell to even run those ads. I don't know who's running his campaign, but they should be fired.
Well, there's a lot of the ads. I'll agree with you on that. There's a lot of ads that are going on that do nothing but sling mud.
Because I honestly believe, even though I may not agree with Mr. McConnell's practices or some of the things he does, I honestly believe that man is a little bit better than that. I would hope.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
And I just think that is absolutely ridiculous and below the belt and not worthy of either candidate's time.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, one thing I do enjoy, and when I ran against Ms. McConnell, I pretty much kept to the issues. And that's what I appreciate, is, instead of telling us what's wrong with the other guy, tell us what's right with you, why you want the job and why you feel, and why you feel you're able to do it, and that's one thing that I would like to see politics become a lot more positive instead of all this negative.
And that is where you and I are exactly on point and agree. We may have different candidate ideas and different philosophies, but both of us would like to hear what you do stand for. And with Amy McGrath, she has come out and said what she stands for, what she wants to do, the things she wants to work towards. I've not heard anything from Mr. McConnell.
Well, I believe
except a bunch of nonsense.
I believe Mr. McConnell claims to be pro-choice as well, but he's pretty quiet on the issue.
I haven't heard him really say he's pro-choice, though. Have you? I mean, have you ever heard him speak and say, "Oh, I'm pro-choice"?
I think I heard him mention that in a speech in 2002, 2003. Like I said, he's pretty quiet on that issue. I don't know if he still holds those views now. I haven't heard anything lately out of him on that issue. But the thing is, we've been facing even more important issues. One of the most important issues facing us now is the coronavirus stimulus package, and that's what they're working on now. And it's like, okay, everybody's got their opinions. Everybody's finding fault with it. I haven't seen the bill yet. I'm trying to get a copy of it, but I haven't found it yet. But I'd like to see what's in there, because Mr. McConnell obviously does have a problem with it. And he probably had something passed a couple of months ago, so I don't know what the holdup is.
Yeah, I believe the holdup is they're wanting to get more funding towards medical care and institutions and things like that, instead of just, printing out checks.
Yeah.
I think that may be the holdup. Because while everybody needs a stimulus right now, and I'm not saying we don't, because, obviously everyone does. Everyone's having a hard time for one reason or another. But even so, we need to make sure that we've got enough money going towards research, towards hospitals, that we're able to get the equipment that we need in these rural areas like we live in. How many ventilators, for instance, does Corbin Hospital have?
They've
Or Bonnersville Hospital?
they've received quite a few over the last since about May. They started coming in, and that's one of the things the president's really done, and is he's taken some of his War Powers Act and really focused the economy on supply, creating the supplies that are needed for the coronavirus pandemic. Hospitals are now well stocked with ventilators, masks, therapeutics. The Pfizer and Lilly are working diligently to create a vaccine, and although I've seen some articles that are kind of concerning to me lately, but I'm not going to speak on those because I haven't gotten confirmation on them yet. But the thing is, the drug companies are working. Operation Warp Speed is going at lightning speed, and from what I understand, they're expecting to come out with a vaccine by the election. That'd be great. You know.
Well, let's hope that they're on their way with that. But I mean, the problem I have is we're going through this, but like we should have been prepared when this first hit over in China. We should have started getting it done then. There should have been people being told no more vacations. Everybody come home and stay there. These airports, the disaster that happened in New York could pretty much all be tied to the fact that it is a major area for travel. I mean, we have had the opportunity to know this was going on and start being towards it. Masks should have been mandated presidentially, but they were not. Other countries have a lot less deaths than we do, and it's because they were a lot stricter on the rules. And you can see the difference in our death toll.
Yeah, I realize the United States is towards the top in the death toll, but we're also quite a large nation as well. The thing is presidential powers are quite limited when it's dealing with the pandemic, because he can work as an advisory in nature, but the real power to that would be in the governor's office. And Governor Beshear has really shown a lot of leadership in dealing with the pandemic. And the thing is I was able to meet with him back in March, just before he declared the emergency. And so far, he's living up to his promise of not politicizing the pandemic. And that was one of my big concerns. President Trump, like I said, he's done a great job getting hospitals, dealing with the pandemic. Immediately when he first heard about the pandemic, he issued a travel ban to China. And then as it progressed around the world, he instituted additional travel bans, and there was, I believe, in May there was a lawsuit filed against those travel bans, and the federal court stated that the president did have the power to issue those. I'm not aware of anything making it to the Supreme Court yet, but so far, the president does have the power to work in advisory nature. And I think making us the people responsible for our own well-being, but giving us the advice that we need or the good information that we need to do that is of great importance.
Well, their time down, and I'm not saying they don't. Everyone should enjoy whatever they do. I think if he could have took a little course and led by example and wore a mask, that would have shown a lot of people in this country instead of refusing to do so. And I just honestly think that goes back to poor judgment. And our president, you know, he has poor judgment on some things to do with basic things. He just doesn't, it's his personality, and he just doesn't like to be told what to do or how to do it. And there's a lot of people in this world like that. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, when you lead, you have to think about something besides what you personally like or what's convenient for you. And I just feel like he set a very bad example.
Okay. Well, we all do make mistakes, and we all fall short of the glory of God and the fall of righteousness, and we all disappoint other people, and we all do things that other people don't like or don't agree with, and that's okay, because that's what makes us different, and that's what makes us the same, and that's what makes us all who we are. To some extent, we all do what we want to do, but the best of us do think of others, before ourselves, and the most faithful of us think about God and country, and before ourselves. And that's the thing. Amy McGrath, I take great pride in her service, and I have great gratitude for her service, and I don't deny her the pride that she feels. In fact, I know the pride that she feels for serving the nation, and I hope she never loses that. Go ahead.
I feel like Amy McGrath is the right person to lead us in this time of trouble and chaos. I feel like she's someone who won't let Kentucky fall under someone's foot. I feel like she'll fight for us and fight to get. She truly wants to continue serving her country in a political realm, but it's still serving her country and serving the people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like she's more than qualified to do so. And I think if we are fortunate enough to have her as our leader, it will be a very blessed day indeed.
Okay.
Now, and I wish Mr. McConnell no ill whatsoever. I think he really has tried for many years, but I think after a certain point, maybe it's time to hang up the boots and go fishing.
Okay, so basically you're in favor of term limits.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, would you like to talk about that for a minute?
Sure. I don't think we 2 terms elected in, and I think it should be that way in all politics, because when someone's in there too long, it's too easy to get stuck in a rut, to get situated and get comfortable in that situation and not really think about the people, but think about not making any waves, because this is your place.
Yeah. Well,
so I think we need fresh blood circulating. Okay.
Yeah, well, I agree with you on we need the fresh blood circulating, but I don't favor term limits. And basically, the reason why is if they are working honorably and represent their constituents, and if they continue to do a good job, they should be able to get elected time and again for as long as they're doing a good job. And when they stop doing a good job, it's time to put somebody else in there. We should not just blindly be going to the polls and voting. Mitch McConnell's been in there for years. I'll just vote for him again. No, that's not a good way to vote. The reason that you vote for Mitch McConnell, President Trump, or anybody is because you believe over the next 4, 6, 8 years that they do the job you need them to do to represent your interests in Washington and Frankfurt, wherever. And if they're an incumbent, they have a record that you can look at and be more assured that they're going to represent your interests. And if they don't represent your interests, you shouldn't be voting for them. If you don't, if you don't agree with when they say 2 and 2 equals 5, because 2 and 2 equals 4, you shouldn't be voting for them, because all that's going to do is get you into their deceptive web. And really, the thing is we need a lot more honesty in politics, to tell you the truth. And if we have more honest people in politics, I think this would be a much better nation, much freer nation.
I really believe there needs to be a time limit on terms. However, that doesn't mean that they couldn't volunteer their time to serve as an advisor if they wanted to help out and continue to be a part of the community or a part of politics. Maybe they just wouldn't get paid.
Well, that's the tradition for the presidents. We have who do we have left living? We got Obama, and we got Bush Jr. and that's probably about it. All the rest of them are all dead, aren't they? They all
they heard of.
Oh yeah, they're only a phone call away. Should Mr. Trump feel the need to call them and consult with them, and I'm sure they do every so often.
Exactly, and I think that it should be about the country, not what if you're a Republican or a Democrat, it should be about the best for what's for the country. And if you honestly care about your constituents, once you get through the term and you can no longer be there, what would be wrong with volunteering to be on an advisory capacity as needed? If that is your actual true calling, that you want to deal with them, and it's not just something you want to be seen, you want to be heard, and you want to show your power or whatever.
Exactly. Now, what you're doing is you're talking about going into politics or any field for the right reasons.
Exactly. You have to do your job with love.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't love the people and you don't love the job, then it's time for you to be in a new job.
Yeah, I believe that anytime you undertake a mission, that you should have a passion for the mission. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, because you're relaxed, you're with it, you're having fun with it, and it's more like playtime than work time.
Exactly.
And it's about getting stuff done. It's not about just putting forth the effort.
That's exactly right. And we need people who want to get stuff done.
Yeah, that's it.
This country is undergoing a great many changes right now, with a lot of social upheaval and a lot of political upheaval. We're dealing with a major pandemic, and I think it's time that instead of pulling apart, we pull together.
Mm-hmm.
And we need leaders that can lead the way on how to come together, not pull apart.
That's it. And the thing is that's one thing. Not all Democrats, but enough of them to where it seems like most of them, they'd like to keep everybody in each in their little box. Like we got the white box, and we got the black box, and we got the disabled box, and we have the mental health box. Well, the thing is how many boxes are we going to have, and how are we going to split these people? Because some goes in this box, a little piece goes in this box. Why not? Let's just bring everybody together, everybody together out under the common banner of we're all Americans.
Exactly. And that's exactly why I believe in Amy McGrath and Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Because they want to pull this country together, not apart.
Okay. What I see is I see Mr. Biden expressing all the little boxes. I see Amy McGrath. She's not quite so bad about it, but she addresses several constituencies, but I see very little of her trying to bring any of them together. Um, the thing is President Trump has been accused of being divisive, but the only time I hear about him relating to race is when he's citing statistics, like the statistics of the unemployment rate for blacks has gone down to almost nothing, and then he's turned around and said blacks, Orientals, and this one and that one, but he was citing statistics there. The thing is one of my pet peeves, especially with the media, they don't say anything about police excessive use of force unless it is a white officer against a black perpetrator, and they go out of their way to say this officer against this black man. Well, what if the guy was white? Would they sit there and say he was a white man? No, they won't. They raise the issue, and I believe that is racism. You know, and the thing is the only ones that I hear about for the statement I'm about to make is from Democrats, and the statement is a black man cannot be racist because he is part of the minority, and that is the biggest crap that I've ever heard spouted in my life. If you're going to favor one race over another, that is racism. If you're going to favor one sex over another, that is sexism. If you're going to favor one religion over another, that's religionism. And the thing is God is not a respecter of persons. So who are we to be respecter of persons? So actually, if we are separating people, are we not in sin?
Well, I have to agree with that. I don't think we should separate people. However, the hasn't had time to leave this country and be in there. You don't really know what she'll do when she's in office because she's not there yet. She doesn't have the power to bring people together yet because she's running and she's addressing everyone and trying to address their issues. But in this pandemic, you can't do the campaigning like we've normally seen. She's being, intelligent about it. And also, until she has the opportunity to do things like others have before, then she's really at a disadvantage. But she is on the right track. And as far as the boxes go, I mean, come on, let's be fair. Our president loves the boxes. Mr. Trump is all about the boxes. And it's not just statistics. I don't think the man really dislikes any particular race, creed, or color. I think he just is comfortable with everybody being checked. And I mean, I hate to say it, but that's kind of an old school situation.
Mm-hmm.
and he needs to be brought up to the new school or go back to school.
Mm.
But now he's all about the boxes. And, you know, he says a lot of things that are so stereotypical that they're ridiculous. Even you, as a Trump supporter, has to admit some of the things he says is both offensive and ridiculous. Like when he says that people that are coming over from Mexico are all drug lords and criminals. I mean, give me a break. Do you really think the entire country is full of nothing but drug lords and criminals? Everyone that crosses that border, I'm sure some of these mothers that are carrying their babies over here are not drug lords or criminals. They're just mothers with their children wanting a better life for their kids. And isn't that where all of us have, if you look back far enough, came from? Somebody in our families wanted a better life, and they picked up and they moved to America. And I think people have forgotten, you know, that we all originated somewhere else.
Yes, we have. I've never heard him say all. You know, I've heard him say many and some, but I've never heard him say all. Yeah, there are some coming over the border that are looking for a better life. They're looking for farmers. You know, they're migrants that come across. Yeah, I have no problem with people coming into the country to find work. I just have a problem with them coming over illegally, you know, just sneaking over the border where we don't even know they're here. Um, the thing is you have to admit that there are quite a few coming across the border. They are lords, they are rapists, they are murderers. You know, out in the desert, they're finding bodies just almost every day. You know, they come across from Mexico, they do what they do, and then they go back to Mexico. And you know, to me, that's more of an invasion than a illegal border crossing, anyway. But you know, done and gone before we even know they're here. And then they come into this country, violating our law, coming in illegally. So then they have no respect for our law. So then while they're here, they commit additional crimes. You know, and you know, sometimes it's not always their fault, and sometimes they're doing it ignorantly, and you know. But the thing is they really shouldn't be
That
doing
border
it at
goes
all.
both ways, though. How many of our criminals go over to Mexico? That would be an interesting thing to find out with crimes over there.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot about people coming over here, but I don't hear nothing about our people going over there.
Yeah. Well,
and everybody that goes over there is not family members that are going on a wonderful vacation. There's criminals that go over there and they do bad, shady things, but we don't hear it because it's not as publicized.
Yeah.
But now common sense will tell you it goes both ways.
Well, the thing is go.
I don't know. There are people that do move to Mexico.
No, I'm asking if you ever visited Mexico.
No, actually, I have not.
Oh, okay. Well, I have. I've seen firsthand, you know, and basically, you can see the touch of Mexico as you get into Texas and Arizona and California and Southern California and that way. Basically, I've been to Mexico a couple of times. One time to Mexico City. Another time I went across from Juarez, into Juarez from El Paso. And yeah, it is. You can tell. Yeah, it's not like going to Canada. You know, Canada, you hardly tell the difference between the United States and Canada. But when you go to the United States and Mexico, it's obvious. Yeah, the culture is vastly different. Um, if you find yourself outside of the tourist areas, you're really taking your life into your own hands. It is really amazing. The police, the federales, they can't be counted on to give any kind of protection. They're not getting paid. They get paid from what they collect in parking tickets. And the thing is when I went down there, every time I turn around, they was ask me for another parking fee. Well, they see an American, they know Americans are rich, they want the money. So yeah, you can really tell the difference when you go into Mexico. And um, I suggest that the tourists stay in the tourist areas. Don't venture out into that country
But
because
at the same time, in this country, there are places that you shouldn't go, but in the tourist areas. Like when you hit your bigger cities of Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, if you go off the grid and you're not in one of those tourist areas, you're taking your life into your own hands.
oh, I know it. But
So I really believe that's not just Mexico, that's anywhere in this world. There's
is.
criminals and bad people everywhere.
It is. But the thing is, I've never been anywhere in the United States where I've been really in fear of my life like I have been outside of the United States. There's some really scary places, and but uh, and that brings us to the defense. Obama was president for 8 years, and he did not make any investments into the military. In fact, he got back to military. And Trump, since he's been elected office, he's brought the military back up to snuff to where all the leaders of the world have really stood up and taken notice. And the thing is, yeah, we might not like President Trump's swagger, but we do have to admit, with the world leaders, it is effective. He is respected around the world, and he is getting things done.
He is getting some things done. And as far as respected, I don't know that he is respected for the right reasons. If you're respected out of fear, are you still respected?
I believe so, because the thing is what fear do we have of God? It you know. Okay, I need to take one moment here. With Federal Election Commission rules, I want to make sure that we are all clear that this program, this episode, is not supported by any political candidate, any political cause, or any political anything except me, myself, and I. These are the views that I express are mine and my own, and not anybody that I may be affiliated with. And Melissa's comments are hers and her own, and not affiliated, and not about anybody that she is affiliated with. We receive no compensation, nor do we have, nor is it being given as a donation. This is being given as a public service for education of the public. Okay, and with that being said, go ahead, Melissa. You have something on your mind?
I think mostly what I have on my mind is I would just like to see our leaders be someone that you can look up to again and have respect for, instead of someone we shake our heads and go, oh, goodness gracious. And I mean, I understand that they have their own views and their own desires and their own things they think about, but I think they need to take into consideration they don't just represent themselves, they represent this country. And they need to project that. it should be about the country first and their opinions, ideas, and philosophies second.
Mhm.
Because and they need to do the job.
And
And
they need to
good
do the
grief.
job to the best of their ability. Yes.
They do need to do it to the best of their ability. And, you know, I think we need to be able to, in order for a president or anyone in politics to be able to be a good and successful leader, they need to have the respect of the people they're leading. And I think that needs to be worked on.
Yeah, in a great many places in our society, that's something that we need to work on. I'm thinking we are losing the knowledge that we do need to respect each other. Yeah, we
Absolutely.
don't always have to agree, you know, and we're always going to have differences one to another, but I believe those differences need to be celebrated.
Exactly. I think that different opinions are what makes the world. If we all had the same opinion, it would be a pretty boring place. And it could maybe not be the best of situations.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need a different point of view,
Mhm.
but you have to be open to that different point of view
Yes,
and
and
go at it with love instead of anger. And I think that's the problem with the social unrest as well right now, is we've got a whole lot of anger, but not a whole lot of love. We're seeing all the differences, but none of the similarities. And our leaders are not helping with that.
And you know, that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about loving each other, respecting each other, lifting each other up, and encouraging each other. It's also
Exactly.
it's also about giving out good information and allowing people to express themselves in an open and accepting environment.
And I really hope and would like to take this time to encourage everyone to vote. Take that time. That was something that was given to you, that right. Use that right. Vote.
Mm-hmm.
If you want the same powers to be in there, then go and make your voice heard. If you want to change and you want to see our country going in a different route, then go to the polls and vote. Don't just sit on your tails and complain about what you see. Get up and do something. This is our time. Make your vote count.
And I can't stress that enough. You know, there's everybody who is registered to vote. I believe registration's closed now, so everybody who is registered to vote, I would love to see 100% turnout in Knox County. I've had Mike Corey on last week, and he would love to see that too. And I think he said something like, if he sees 30%, he'll be happy. Yeah, I could just imagine if he got 100% at the polls, 100% turnout at the polls. You know, I would like to see the look on his face when he opens that up. But I can't stress enough. The elections occur every 4 years, pretty much on a 4 year cycle, and everybody needs to make their voice heard in government. We need to put people in. You know, when they're campaigning, they're supposed to be telling us what we're all about, not what's wrong with the other guy. You know, and what we need to do is, even if they don't tell us what they're all about, we need to find out what they're all about so that we know if they support our causes. And if our opinions match, then they're a good person for the job. If they don't match, well, is it something that you can live with? And you know, if it doesn't match and you can't live with it, you got no business voting for them. You need to vote for the with. We do need to have more people become involved in politics. Um, but it is tough nowadays, and it's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. But if you're able to, we do need more people. The choice in this year's election, I don't believe it can be more clear. We have President Trump, who wants to stay the course, keep our heritage of history, liberty, and prosperity, and he is leading us the way to that. And Mr. Biden, God bless him, he wants to significantly transform this union into something I don't believe it should be. And something that really, I'm going to be honest with you, what President Biden wants to transform this nation to really scares the hell out of me. Okay, Melissa, go ahead and comment on that if you would.
Well, I do not think that I think that we should never forget our history. I don't think we need to live in the past. I think we need to push forward and go forward. And I think certain things in history, while they always should be remembered, they should not be put up on a pedestal. And I believe that it's very important that we lead the way in a new country. And just like anything else, this country needs to grow. And part of growing is change. And if we don't change and we don't grow and we stand still, then we will soon be divided. And then where are we going to be? In order to come together, we have to grow together. Together as people, we have to grow together as a country. We have to grow together as a civilization, and we cannot do that if we are looking to lead the way to the. We have to look to the future to lead the way to the future. We have to look at the new way of thinking. We have to say, okay, this is what's wrong. We recognize this. We will never forget this. But we need to move on and do better. And that's all about growing and changing. You need to do better than what they did before. Every generation should look to do better than what they did before. To be better, to do better. That's how you grow. If we didn't do that, we would still be cavemen trying to light a fire with a stick. I mean, I'm sorry, but we need to think about these things. We need to change the way we think. We need to open our minds up and see that there are more possibilities. This isn't, 1847. We're in 2020. If we're still going by those rules, then obviously there's something severely wrong. It's time to change. It's time to put it away. It's time to come together and grow together. And we need to become a leader again. This country needs to have leaders that want to help this country become a leader. And so we can show the rest of the world, this is how it's done. And that used to be us. And sadly, it is not anymore.
Well, hopefully, I'm confident that with President Trump, we will get back to this is how it's done, and America will again lead the way in the nation. If we remember our founding and the virtues of it, and we acknowledge our sins of the past, but we seek to correct them. And I'm not talking about correcting through throwing money at it. I mean correcting as to behavior change. 100 years ago, slavery was prevalent. Along the South, it was the norm. And since the 60s, Martin Luther King has got it right. We all need to come together. It doesn't matter the color of our skin. What matters is the content of our character. And to tell you the truth, I don't care if somebody is purple with blue polka dots. You know, they're if they're human, they're human. And I think if okay, let I'm a George Norrie fan, so now I'll preface it like that. If the aliens were to come down in their spaceship and come shake my hand, I would gladly reach it out to them. And because I believe that they are children of God as well, and God created us, so why can't He create anybody else? Yeah, it wouldn't rock my world. But and the thing is President Trump really surprised me when he proposed the Space Force, and he's quite serious about it. I'm kind of curious what their duties are going to be. Melissa?
Uh-huh. I don't know enough about the subject to have an opinion on that one.
So you're doing like I am, taking a wait and see approach on that one.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay.
Okay, because the thing is you got the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Marines. Okay, yeah, I know what their missions are, and they're there to keep us safe. But the thing is now we have a Space Force, and assuming that either there's no one out there or they're so far away that we can't touch them, what are they going to do?
I have no idea. But really, they need to get a better name than Space Force.
Yeah, I like Space Force. Yeah,
You like Space Force?
I like that. We can keep the name. Yeah, it is even got a flag for them and everything. And that,
maybe they could call Spock Force. Ode to Star Trek there.
No, that would no, that would be not descriptive enough. I don't believe. Yeah, United States Space Force. Because we already have NASA, and NASA's mission. I understand that. That's exploring space. Whatever we find out there is whatever we find out there. But now you got the Space Force or Space Defense Force. What are they defending us against? Meteoroids?
It's an interesting concept. You never know. It might be. Maybe he's thinking. Later on, maybe there will be pirates in space. Who knows? Or a different country. Maybe he thinks that we might have to defend in space.
I think
could be.
I think you've given me a wonderful idea. Maybe I should send a letter to the president and invite him to the podcast. Maybe we can pick his brain about it.
Well, it would be interesting to find out exactly what's going on in there.
It would be. It would be a great honor if he did show up.
Yep. It might be terrifying to find out what's in that head, but
I've already shaken his hand.
He's doing.
Yeah, I've already shaken his hand. He doesn't bite too hard. Back in 2008, I was at a Tea Party rally, and Mr. Trump showed up, and I was able to shake his hand and say a few words, and we got to meet and talk for about 3-4 minutes anyway before he was pulled away to somebody else. So yeah, he's a good man. He is sincere in what he does. Yeah, okay, maybe he's got some mannerisms that we can criticize, but that what makes him him.
I have never doubted the fact that he really is sincere.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never doubted that he honestly, in his own mind, thinks he's in the right direction. So I've never doubted that.
Yeah.
And some of the things he's seen, I'm not completely like, it has to be my way or the highway. I see that, like anything, there's good things and bad things about his administration.
Mm-hmm.
Just like everyone else. I just feel like, that he really doesn't represent my personal beliefs in a lot of ways, and I don't think he represents a great many people's. I think that we just want a little more kinder way of doing things. There's always two ways of doing things. It's like giving a compliment to a woman. You can say, honey, when I look at you, time stands still. And she'll go, oh, that is the sweetest thing. Or you can tell a woman, when I look at you, the clock stops.
Mm-hmm.
She is not going to be happy hearing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I think, that we need a little more politics, a little more diplomacy would be nice. And I think Joe Biden's capable of doing that because he's already been in this field for quite a while. He's not new to politics, and he's got plenty of experience. And, I honestly don't think it's going to be the same exact thing as having President Obama in. I think it's going to be, Joe Biden will have his own thoughts, his own processes, his own way of doing things. Because long before he was vice president, he had and a political agenda. I do not think it would be a bad thing if he decided to call up our former president, Mr. Obama, and occasionally ask, for some advice, or any of our presidents that he felt like he could talk over an issue with.
Oh, yeah.
Because who better to talk over an issue with than the person who's done this job?
And that's another accusation that the Democrats have levied against Mr. Trump is he doesn't talk enough to his advisors or doesn't listen to them. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he talks with them. I'm sure he listens to them. He considers their input, but then he makes a decision. And for that, at least respect him for that.
He definitely goes his own route.
Yes, he does.
That's for sure.
Yes, he does.
When it comes to listening to people, I really think that it would have behooved him to listen to people a little bit more because he had not been in politics. He'd been in the business world for a long time, and he'd done a lot of things, but he had not been in politics. And, maybe it would have been better had he listened to people who'd been in politics, who had more of a diplomatic viewpoint, than just putting on your boots and stomping all over it.
Well, that's the thing. He has his own way of going about doing things, and that's one thing I like about him is, and yes, he is decisive. Yes, his background has been in business, but I can't think of any better way to run government than using the same rules you use for business, because the rules you use for business, by and large, they work, and they allow for prosperity. So you take those rules into account, and when you're managing government, and okay, what do we need to do to run government that's not going to unnecessarily impede on business, and where do we necessarily need to impede on business?
Exactly. Therefore, if he would listen to his advisors and the people he was smart enough to surround himself with, it would probably have benefited him quite a bit. And I really think that Mr. Biden, one, he's been in politics a great many years, and two, I think that he is more of a humble type of person that could both listen and take advice in a better frame of mind.
Okay. And what if you found out that he has actually been listening to his advisors, but he is just making the decisions he's been making?
Well, if they're good decisions, so be it. If the decisions are not so good, then, I would say the same to him. Please listen to people that you hired, because you hired them for a reason. Take into consideration what they're trying to tell you. Pay attention. Don't just bulldoze over top of things, because that's not good.
Now, Melissa, I do want your answer to this burning question in my heart. Amy Barrett is coming up. She's being confirmed as a Supreme Court judge. as we speak. Now, the thing is there are people and groups that are threatening massive voter fraud throughout the country. And I really don't think it's going to touch Kentucky much, but I believe Kentucky's well able to handle whatever does come. Um, so I'm not too worried about Kentucky, but I'm worried about the rest of the country. Uh, do you that Miss Barrett should be confirmed before or after the election?
I think she should be confirmed after the election.
Okay. Um, why is that?
Well, I honestly think that she should be confirmed after the election because I don't think there ought to be any major decisions made because Supreme Court justice is a major decision on how things run. I don't think any of it should be done until after the election. Let's deal with one issue and then deal with the other.
Okay.
I, by the way, was a big supporter of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and I think this world has lost a tremendously beautiful human being.
Mhm.
And
No.
that we lost her. And I hope that when this Supreme Court justice confirmation comes through, that if they can be half the justice and half the person and do half the job she did, they'll be saying a lot.
Okay. Well, let me express my condolences to you. I can tell that it has hit you pretty good. Personally, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I don't agree with her one bit. I don't agree with many of her rulings. I don't agree with, never did. But she held that post for a long time. Her mark will be felt for years to come. So her legacy is pretty well secure. I'm not about to go dance on her grave. I'm not that type of man. But the thing is I'm looking forward to the changing of the guard. And I believe that Ms. Barrett should be confirmed before the election because when the election happens, there are no doubt going to be accusations flying both ways of voter fraud. And that all needs to be sorted out, and I would like to see that sorted out quickly. And to do that, we need to have a full.
We have some of the cleverest people in the world
Mhm.
To deal with cyber things. I mean, look at the corporations and things that started in this country. Honestly, I know that there are hackers, and I'm sure they're good at their job. But we got some of the best people in the world that I have no doubt can absolutely give back anything they can throw. Because I have full respect for the people that work in this country and how smart they are. And I really truly believe that when it comes to our voting and things, it's going to be just fine.
Mhm.
Whatever they try to play or pull will get fixed pretty quick because they're looking for it. They're waiting on it. And we've got some of the most intelligent people that know what they're doing with these computers.
Mhm.
And, I think what we ought to do is give a shout out and a thanks to all the people that make sure that nobody does hack in.
Mhm.
We take it for granted what they do because, our lights don't go off and our power don't go off. Our cars don't stop in the middle of the road. And that's because we have people who work on that on a daily basis. So we have people in government who deal with cyber threats all the time. And I think that we should take it for granted that they have some skills and they know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. Well, liberty, yeah. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and liberty promotes creativity. And we have been the world leader in inventions and discoveries for many years. Okay, and I see it as now I'd like to end the show with making an uplifting statement. So would you like to do that?
I would love to do that. Thank you. I just hope that whoever's out there listening, that you take this from a position of love and that you go out there and you look at the people who you come in contact with and you see them for other people that you know, friends you haven't met yet, and see them with a gentle, loving heart, and give the respect to the people in Washington who are trying to do their job. And make sure you go out there and vote and change the things you don't agree with, because nothing gets done unless you put your name on the ballot.
Okay. And as we close today, let me encourage everyone out here. I can't stress the importance of voting, but more than that, there's a quality of life that we all deserve, that we all need, that we all want to have. And it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of effort, and a lot of learning, and a lot of paying attention. You've heard my views, you've heard Melissa's views. You know, it is time to choose, and choose wisely, and choose from the heart. Let's listen from the heart a little bit. Let's listen to each other. Let's love each other and care for each other and try to uplift each other so that we can be a more loving world, more positive world. I challenge my listeners today, and I want to thank Bobby uh, very much for helping to support our podcast. The podcast today is being broadcast on Get Vocal, Patreon, and YouTube, and it will be uploaded to other podcast providers as well. And let me encourage you to support our podcast in any way that you can. And I appreciate the support and encouragement and the love coming from you. And let's give that love, support, and encouragement to each other, and be good, and be good to each other as we go forward. Until next week, this is Daniel Essick, and this is Podcast for Life.